For more, let's bring in former ambassador to Iraq and Turkey, James Jeffrey, and former National Security Advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney and Jewish Institute of National Security of America Senior Fellow John Hanna. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Mike.
So I want to play a soundbite from Senator Roger Marshall on why Israel felt like it had to go now, and I'll get you to react to it.
Everyone needs to realize that Iran was just 1 week away from having a nuclear warhead, that over the past several weeks, they've increased their 60% enriched uranium to over 600 pounds, and they have all the equipment that's necessary to get that to a nuclear warhead grade just in 1 week's time. So I think the time was of the essence.
Ambassador, what's your assessment of the back and forth we've seen between Israel and Iran over the past couple of days?
Israel, as the senator said, was justified in doing it, not only because of the capabilities Iran was showing, but also the intention. Ever since October 7th, 2023, Israel cannot risk assuming that countries that might want to attack Israel will not. So I'm with Israel on this one.
Former CIA Director and Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta weighing in. Let's play him and I'll get you to react.
It's very difficult to go after their enrichment facilities and their nuclear facilities, because those are really tough targets to get at. So the question mark here is, yes, they're now hitting Iran, but are they able to truly go after their nuclear enrichment capability?
John, what about that question? And what about the sophistication of this attack the Israelis have pulled off on strategic targets and also key members of the regime?
Yeah, it's been extraordinary. We knew the Israelis were incredibly capable partner, but what they've pulled off here, similarly to what they did with Hezbollah last September, an absolute unbelievable 10-day campaign to take out the most powerful terrorist proxy in the world. And now they've again taken Iran completely by surprise, decapitated a significant portion of its senior military command, 9 of its most important nuclear scientists. And now they've got complete controls over the skies of Western Tehran. The question is, can they get to the most deeply buried enrichment site at Fordow, or does that require somebody else to come in and finish the job, which is the only country capable of doing that, the United States of America?
Ambassador, the regime in Tehran has called this a declaration of war. Are you bracing for the fact that this conflict may not end anytime soon?
It may not, but this war didn't begin 3 days ago with Israeli strikes. It began when Iran, after '79, launched its march through the region, pursued nuclear weapons, and declared that its goal was to wipe out Israel. After, again, October 7th, Israel has decided it'll take people at its word.
Iran's well known for its terrorist proxies throughout the region. John, are you bracing for the possibility that American targets and Israeli targets will be hit by some of those terrorist proxies throughout the region?
A lot of the proxies have been deeply weakened by Israel already. I do think we need to fear that Iran has already threatened that America, for defending Israel against some of these ballistic missile attacks, that our bases could be targeted now by Iranian ballistic missiles and drones. I think that's a serious worry. I think we're well postured to defend against it. But I think Americans ought to be prepared that if the Iranians are really worried about the fate of their regime, they could try anything, including coming after our forces and trying to get us into this fight, which I think would be an absolutely fatal mistake for the Iranian regime that's already in a very bad position.
We know there were supposed to be talks tomorrow in Oman. The Trump administration says it's still committed to talks. President Trump has held out the hope that maybe at some point the Iranians will come back to the table to make a deal. What about that?
It's possible. And I would like to underline, President Trump put a very forward-leaning deal on the table. We don't know the details, but it looked like at least some temporary continued enrichment, even though he denied it. In other words, he offered Iran an exit strategy. The fact that Iran didn't take it, I think, is another reason why the Israelis decided they had to strike.
What about negotiations happening anytime soon, John? Your thoughts?
Listen, I think the Iranians are in for a lot of hurt. The Israelis just today have started expanding to economic targets, to going after Iran's energy sector, which is the only thing holding up that economy. And I think there are a lot of nervous senior officials in Iran worried about regime stability. I think their only exit ramp right now is the one that President Trump is offering them, to get back into a negotiation and get serious about ending that, doing what's required to end that nuclear program and have your regime survive, and maybe get a little bit of sanctions relief to rebuild this economy, which is absolutely on its back.
I was covering the White House during the Obama years, and I remember the Iranian people taking to the streets, and there was criticism that President Obama didn't jump on that opportunity to encourage them. Do you think the Iranian people may rise up against the regime?
I think you may see protests, but we've seen the ability of this regime to put down public protests in the cities and the countryside from, as you said, 2009 on. But again, the regime worried about its survival is a good place to have it be. That's where it is right now. And it may, as John said, open the door to a compromise solution.
John, final thought on regime change, or what's next?
Listen, Elon Musk has gone up with Starlink now to allow the Iranian people in Iran to communicate with each other. That's an important move. I think we just need to be ready. We need to be ready to support Iran. The former Shah's son has reached out to the Iranian people saying this war was brought by the mullahs, and now it's time for us to take our fate into our hands. We don't know what will happen, but I think the Israelis are prepared to go a long way if the Iranians are not willing to come to heel and give up that nuclear program. If they keep firing at Israel, there's no telling where this ends for Iran.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your analysis on this very important story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.